we've got to increase our commitment because the pain and the suffering has increased. And we have a humanitarian responsibility as people who live on this planet to look after our fellow human beings. And of course we should increase the amount of refugees we're letting in. Of course we should. And I hate it that Germany makes us look so bad and mean. I hate it. And we've got to increase it.
Zach, what would your solution be?
It's a no-brainer, an absolute no-brainer.
I think well, everything has changed in the context of this debate today because of that one image. And it's a bit like that grotesque statement by Stalin. He said, 1 million deaths is a mere statistic, one death is a tragedy. And I think that has never been truer than today. One death has brought this issue home to everyone in this country, and the debate has changed fundamentally. So my starting point is, of course, we need to accommodate more of the refugees. I don't know how many, because I don't know how many genuine refugees there are who need to be rehomed. But clearly we need to open our doors more than we have done at this point. But I think it would be a mistake to regard that as a solution. It's not a solution to the problem. There are millions of people who could easily qualify for refugee status in this country. The absolute priority has to be to tackle this problem at source. It means tackling the illegal smugglers, but above all, it means trying to figure out how to clear up a mess that in some parts, in some ways, we have contributed to in recent years through clumsy interventionist foreign policy. But dealing with the problem at source is essential.
When you talk about the clumsy intervention, do you mean in Libya or what particularly are you?
Libya was a clumsy intervention because there was no plan B. Iraq, of course, as far as I'm concerned, is the biggest foreign policy blunder we've seen for generations. And I think we'll be paying the price for it for many years to come.
Stephen, you know how to run things. What would you do now?
Well, it's not about my background in London government. I'm the son of someone who's expelled from Czechoslovakia at the age of my daughter, and she was part of that wave of people that needed very nice, well-meaning people to take them in, to find space for them to live, to rebuild their lives. And there is a humanitarian crisis. It requires action at the level of the nation state to make sure that she started in a refugee camp, they need to be properly run. There then needs to be a way of ensuring that we take and do our fair share, and we do our heavy lifting. And when we talk about these issues, we mustn't confuse the contribution of people that are fleeing persecution or the situation we're seeing in Syria with economic migration. And the debate is a separate one there, but we have to do our bit.
Are you able to make the distinction?
Well, I make the distinction that we benefit from the diversity in London. We benefit that this is a world in a city, that people come to our city and they contribute. They contribute through generations. When we eat fish and chips, the battered fish, comes from the Jewish community, the French fries from the French Huguenots. We benefit from generations of being tolerant, welcoming, and giving people an opportunity to rebuild our lives. Of course we need to do something for them. Of course we do.
Syed Kamall, what would you do? The word was used that we had been swamped by people. What do you do about the numbers, and how do you find a solution?
You know, my parents came to this country for a better life. Understandably, they came as what nowadays we would call economic migrants for a better life. But actually, when you see these pictures, these terrible pictures coming out, how do you feel? Your heart says you want to let everyone in, but your head says you know you can't. And those are the two extremes of the debate. Actually, where this has to be tackled is actually at the European cooperation or even the global level. And one of the things that I discussed with the Prime Minister only a couple of weeks ago was the idea of how we stop people falling into the arms of these ruthless people smugglers, promise them the false hope, and actually they fall victim to the sea, as we see time after time after time. And what we need to do is stop having unrealistic plans at the European level, which I've heard Juncker say. In fact, I'll be speaking in a debate next week, the State of the Union debate on this very issue in the European Parliament, and telling him what we need to do is make sure that we are stopping people getting on the boats. We need to process them before they get on the boats as quickly as possible. Whatever we do will cost us money. So let's spend that money in processing applications, sourcing out genuine people who genuinely seek fleeing persecution from those who are just simply understandably seeking a better life. And then once we know those who can come, then we've got to agree between member states who will take how many. That's the way to do it, from that sort of process and approach, sensible approach. We can't take everyone, so we have to have a way to distinguish those who are genuinely fleeing persecution, and then we all have to take our responsibility. But do you know that there are 6 countries in the EU that are taking 75% of asylum seekers? The UK is one of them. Other countries also have to step up. They also have to bear their fair share of responsibility. Our country, one of the things that makes it great, one of the things that makes London great, is the fact that for centuries we've welcomed people from all over this world. And they've made London the great diverse city that it is.